save America?
Well, in Texas, we have the State Board of Education. Um, they are elected officials who create, administer curriculum and standards for the state of Texas. And in the state of Texas, last session, they passed HB 1605, which is really a vendor bill. The TEA, Texas Education Agency, whose Commissioner of Education has been in office since 2016. My question is, with the TEA, they have the power to take over our locally elected school boards.
Which that in and of itself, because I always remind you, ISD. Tell me, what is you keep calling your local districts ISD. What is the I in ISD?
It's supposed to be independent. This independent school district. In the country, our largest number of elected officials is our locally elected school board. And not every state, but in the state of Texas, we have an elected State Board of Education. And so it's gotten flipped. It's gotten flipped. And one interesting thing, too, I want people to understand, a charter school, think about that. A charter school is different than an independent school district. A charter is a public-private partnership. And the difference between a traditional public school and a charter school is a locally elected school board. A charter school's run by whoever's getting the money, because they get the seed money for the charter from our tax dollars. And so there's a movement afoot for charters to take over our independent school districts. And the TEA, Mike Morath, is very instrumental in taking over our school districts. My question, and he takes them over based on an A through F rating. And our school districts are failing. Our traditional public schools and our charter schools are failing. Our scores, our children cannot read, write, and do math well.
Well, we'll just lower the standards, and then everybody will be happy.
We're just going to lower the standards.
Yeah, then everybody will be getting A's.
And the money that, when you look at the federal and state laws, where the money, we take federal dollars to teach economically disadvantaged children how to read. That happened. One of the key times that happened was in 1965 with the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. That was in 65. Today, look forward. Now, economically disadvantaged children can't read, but economically advantaged children can't read. And who is going to hold Mike Morath, who's been in office since 2016, and the TEA accountable for their failure, for their programs, for their software programs? And that's what 1605, the legislature gave the TEA millions of dollars to pilot this program, Amplify. It's a curriculum management system. That pilot failed. It failed. Children, they were using children in public schools, charter schools, as guinea pigs for this Amplify software program. It failed. It gets an F. Our Texas legislature, we'll try again. We'll give you $2.4 billion, billion with a B, this last session to the TEA to implement Amplify. They rebranded it, but they're implementing a program. They're using our kids in these independent school districts as guinea pigs. And so what's happening this coming week, the State Board of Education is going to be talking about how do they implement HB 1605, this curriculum management system. And so I have friends and colleagues who have been doing amazing work trying to get access into the actual lessons within Amplify. We were told the bill was passed because they said, oh, it'll be completely accessible for parents to get in there and actually see what the curriculum is. Well, it's here and we're trying to get in, and there's been all kinds of problems getting access to the curriculum. And it's important to know we can get access. We can look at some of those lessons, which we have had access to some, and they're not good. They're not developmentally appropriate. You have lessons that are at the 5th grade level, TEKS, the Texas Essentials, at the 5th grade level. They're bringing them down to kindergarten. Well, those kindergartners don't have the foundation, the knowledge base to learn that yet. You have to, you have a scope and sequence. You have, and the teachers, the veteran teachers that Families Engaged for Education, Mary Lowe and Lynn Davenport's group, they have teachers that have been taking a deep dive to try to access it, to look into it. And they said, this is not good. This is not what they sold you as high quality education materials. That they name it that and then sell it. But the reality on the ground is that they are not high quality education materials. Right. So this week at the State Board of Education, they're going to be having meetings, and these great, amazing men and women who've been looking into this are going to go down and testify. I am not going to be there. I'm in Montana right now. But what I do is I follow what they're doing online, and then I create content to push it out to educate. So I think it's important to understand we all have different roles to play. We don't all have to be down there testifying, but we want people down there testifying. If you can get down to Austin this week, reach out to myself or Mary Lowe and Families Engaged to see if you can get down there. If not, it's okay. Follow along. Understand what's happening down there so that when we create content, we become the media, basically, because the media is not going to cover it. So we hold them accountable, and then we can share it with others. And that's how we can have influence. Showing up, doing the research, showing up to share the research, and then have people who can push that out. And that's this week. These people are doing great work. And I want to just take the time these are not paid people. These are volunteer moms and dads who take hours and hours of their days to do the research, to dive into this because they care. We talk about Saving America through your Saving America workshops and training camps. This is how it's done. You organize and you have amazing people and they're volunteering their time to make a difference. And that's what's happening in Texas. And I'm excited about it. It gives me hope because there's people willing to volunteer their time and their treasure, their dollar to go down to Austin and speak truth to power and make a difference.
Yeah, I see one of the biggest challenges in this is that it is very complicated. It doesn't have to be that complicated, but it is very complicated. And you guys, you and your colleagues, they're in the weeds reading the legislation. And we were talking the other day, and they basically crowdsourced this big bill saying, here, you read this section, you read this section, you read this section. But the hardest part of this is disseminating that into having it make sense to the person who's doesn't have the time to read the bill, doesn't have time to go testify and ask these questions, and trying to make sense of all that, because it's like the complexity. For so long, we have just outsourced to experts, drop our kids off at public school, pick them up at the end of the day, and just hope for the best, and just assume they're doing the right thing. But man, we've got to get under the hood, and thank God for you and other people like you that have said, "Can I see what you're doing?" Your campaign you did years ago. But being
Yes,
able to disseminate that and summarize these things, I don't want to say into marketing sound bites, but they have to be real for people. And
right.
what you said, you sold us on this.
Hmm.
And I agree with that. But here's the details. Here's the details. And where is the devil? He's in the
And
details.
that's exactly right. And it's interesting with the work. I want to show how a group of moms and dads can have a major influence.
Mhm.
So through Families Engaged and that organization, they did a great one pager basically on HB 1605 and had people show up at the Capitol and hand this one pager out to show, these elected officials, not elected leaders, elected
Elected public servants.
public
They're
servants.
representatives, not our leaders. Exactly. Ah, you're
Yeah.
awesome. You must have been part of that training camp.
That's exactly right. The leaders are these moms and dads who
Yes.
actually took the time to write a one pager, had a QR code.
Mm,
So if you don't have the one pager in front of you, here's a QR code. Look at it on your phone.
mhm.
And here's the more of the details of it. So amazing work. Mike Morath, the TEA commissioner, then
Mhm.
had meetings. Okay, we got to take their one pager and we've got to refute their talking points.
Mm.
So then they come and they try to refute our talking points.
Good.
And then
That's what it's about. They are answering to you. Your employees are now responding to what their boss is saying.
it is. It was amazing. Um, Unfortunately,
Mhm.
the money behind there, not only is their Mike Morath and the TEA, but we've got all of these organizations, and frankly, on both the right and the left. That always makes me nervous when you've got, the
Mhm.
Democrats on one side, the Republicans on the other side, and
Right.
they're all supporting Mike Morath and this takeover of
Mhm.
our independent school districts.
Independent. Right.
Independent. And so the money, they have marketing teams, they
Mhm.
pay for marketing programs. They fund the campaigns for our elected servants. And so they came out with, talking points against our talking points. And then we came back with talking points. So unfortunately, HB 1605 passed. And
Wow.
we had the votes. And then for some reason, these so called conservatives flipped. And I don't know why. I mean, at the last minute.
Yeah, when these guys, and we see this time and again, either in the local level in your state or even into DC, somebody runs for office, they get the grassroots support, they get elected, and it was a hard fought battle, right? It was
Yeah.
hard. We were every Saturday and all these people, and then they get to the Capitol or they get to DC or something, and the party bosses say, "Hey, that was a hard fought battle, but you know what? Team up with us and we'll get to your pet project issue that you promised the people, and we'll get there eventually, but support us on our things. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to do some fundraisers for you. We're going to help you. It'll be a lot easier this next time for reelection because we're going to we're going to have $100,000 fundraiser. We're going to meet some people over here, vendors, and we're going to meet
Huh?
some of these people. It's going to make it a lot easier to win reelection. So why does Congress have a 14% approval rating and a 95% incumbent reelection rate?
That's right.
It's because of that.
Interestingly, this one in particular elected servant, supposedly, um, he's getting pushback because, and he's one of those it takes a lot to run for office, and we have some great people that from the grassroots level that run, but sometimes that pride, I can't say that I made a mistake publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And but the details are there. The proof that we were
Yes.
right is there. And he can't. I keep asking him publicly on social media, can you please provide me and others the data to show, the amplify that you gave approved $2 billion for. Just show me the data to say that it was piloted and proven successful. Show me
Right.
the data. And he can't.
Right.
And so what he does is he lashes out at me and
Oh, yeah.
others and calls us, oh, you're just a Democrat.
And that's when you know you've won.
That's
Absolutely.
what we
So this week, you guys got a big week ahead of you, and everybody, you're right, has a role to play, and you're going to be monitoring from afar, but pushing out that content. I'll be watching for it and sharing it as you guys produce that. Thank you so much, Alice. God bless you in your fight, and we'll see you at the workshop this Thursday.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jason.
This segment brought to you by The Remembrance Project, theremembranceproject.org.